Democratic indictments and about 3 Republican indictments. This is more indictments by political figures under the Trump administration than any other president in history. We're going to look at all of these indictments. A lot of people don't think they've been happening. I'm showing you proof. I want to remind you that there are good and bad people on both sides, both Republican and Democrat. In this video, we are going to be mentioning all of them from both sides. Trump is very well aware of what's going on. He knows that elitists use children as a form of currency. He's been in their circles. He knows what's going on. And this has been his sole mission since he's been president. He's looking to strip these people of their authority because they're not fit for their positions. They're being indicted for their actions, and they don't deserve to have authoritative positions in government or in society at all. These people are criminals. They deserve to be held accountable for their actions, just like everybody else. So let's get into it. First, I'm going to list the Republican indictments. Republican State Senator Ralph Shorty was indicted on 4 counts of human trafficking and child pornography. In November of 2017, he pled guilty to 1 account of child sex trafficking in exchange for the dropping of the other charges. Former Republican Speaker of the House, Dennis Hastert, was imprisoned in 2016 on federal charges of structuring bank withdrawals after prosecutors alleged that Hastert had molested at least 4 boys as young as 14 and attempted to compensate the victims and subsequently conceal the transactions. Republican Tim Nolan from Kentucky pled guilty to child sex trafficking on February 11, 2018. He was sentenced to serve 20 years in prison. Next, I'm going to list all of the Democratic indictments. Democratic spokesperson for the Arkansas Democratic Party, Harold Moody Jr., was charged with distribution and possession of child pornography. Democratic Radnor Township Board of Commissioners member Philip R. resigned from his position after being charged with possession of child pornography and abusing children between 2 and 6 years old. Democratic activist and BLM organizer Charles Wade was arrested and charged with human trafficking and underage prostitution. Democratic Texas attorney and activist Mark Benavides was charged with having sex with a minor, inducing a child under 18 to have sex, and compelling prostitution of at least 9 legal clients, and possession of child pornography. He was found guilty on 6 accounts of sex trafficking. Democratic former mayor, Stillwater, New York, Rick Nelson, pled guilty to 5 accounts of possession of child pornography of children less than 16 years of age. Ew. Democratic former mayor of Hubbard, Ohio, Richard Keenan, was given a life sentence in jail for raping a 4-year-old girl. Democratic former mayor of Winston, Oregon, Kenneth Barrett, was arrested for setting up a meeting to have sex with a 14-year-old girl who turned out to be a police officer. That's a good one. Democratic former mayor, Randolph, Nebraska, Dwayne L. Schutt, was arrested and charged with 4 accounts of felony 3rd-degree sexual assault of a child and 1 account of intentional child abuse. Intentional abuse. Okay, people. Democratic former mayor from Georgia, Christopher Wright, was indicted on charges of aggravated child molestation, aggravated sodomy, rape, child molestation, and statutory rape of an 11-year-old boy and a 12-year-old girl. Democratic former mayor of Stockton, California, Anthony Silva, was charged with providing alcohol to young adults during a game of strip poker that included a 16-year-old boy at a camp for underage privileged children ran by the mayor. Democratic former mayor of Millbrook, New York, Donald Briggs, was arrested and charged with inappropriate sexual contact with a person younger than 17. Democratic activist and fundraiser Terrence Bean was arrested on charges of sodomy and sex abuse in a case involving a 15-year-old boy. And when the alleged victim declined to testify, the judge dismissed the case. That's forcing a child to publicly talk about a case that is so sensitive. A child should not have to testify if they are underage like that, publicly at least. I think to police officers is enough. Democratic official from Indiana, David Roberts, was sentenced to federal prison for producing and possessing child pornography, including placing hidden cameras in the bedrooms and bathrooms at homes he shared with 2 minor female victims. Democratic California Congressman Tony Cardenas is being sued in LA for allegedly sexually abusing a 16-year-old girl. Democratic Alaskan State Representative Dean Westlake resigned from his seat after the media published a report alleging he fathered a child with a 16-year-old girl when he was 28. Democratic donor and billionaire Jeffrey Epstein ran an underage child sex brothel and was convicted of soliciting underage girls for prostitution. You see how minuscule that Epstein is in the grand scheme of this. He's just one of many. Democratic New York Congressman Anthony Weiner pled guilty to transferring obscene material to a minor as part of a plea agreement for sexting and sending Twitter DMs to underage girls as young as 15. Democratic donor, activist, and Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein is being criminally prosecuted and civilly sued for years of sexual abuse that was well known and a big secret in Hollywood, including underage sexual activities with aspiring female actresses. Democratic activist and #MeToo proponent Asia Argento settled a lawsuit for sexual harassment stemming from sexual activities with an underage actor. Right there, that's proof that Hollywood is totally fake. Democratic Seattle Mayor Ed Murray resigned after multiple accusations of child sexual abuse were levied against him, including by family members. Democratic activist and aide to NYC Mayor de Blasio Jacob Schwartz was arrested on possession of 3,000 child pornography images. Democratic activist and actor Russell Simmons was sued based on an allegation of sexual assault where he coerced an underage model for sex. Democratic Illinois Congressman Mel Reynolds resigned from Congress after he was convicted of statutory rape of a 16-year-old campaign volunteer. Democratic activist, donor, and director Roman Polanski fled the country after pleading guilty to statutory rape of a 13-year-old girl. Democrats and Hollywood actors still defend him to this day, including Whoopi Goldberg, Martin Scorsese, Woody Allen, David Lynch, Wim Wenders, Pedro Almodovar, Tilda Swinton, and Monica Bellucci. Yeah, it's because a lot of other Hollywood actors are fleeing the country. The pedophile code words discovered in Podesta's WikiLeaks emails doesn't seem so far-fetched anymore, does it? They all use them. Just look at their Instagrams and their tweets. They shoved it in our face for years. They thought we would never figure it out. Democratic State Department official Daniel Rosen, under Hillary Clinton's State Department, was arrested and charged with allegedly soliciting sex from a minor over the internet. Democratic Deputy Attorney General from California, Raymond Liddy, was arrested for possession of child pornography. Democratic Connecticut Councilman Scott Chamberlain was forced to step down after photographs of him allegedly emerged on a private website for furries, a weird subculture of people who dress up in furry costumes for sexual gratification. In April of 2018, the United States government seized Backpage.com and their affiliated websites for child sex trafficking. The founders and many other employees were arrested and indicted. Therefore, we should be very cautious when Backpage dumps a boatload of donations into Democratic politicians' pockets. Democratic politicians that accepted donations from Backpage.com after their scandal was exposed include David Garcia, Nancy Pelosi, Arizona State Democratic Executive Committee, Colorado Democratic Party of New Mexico, Senator Mark Udall, and Representative Kirsten Sinema. And maybe this video can help people to see why so many elite organizations of people, such as mainstream media and Hollywood, want to see Trump go down. Because he's exposing all of this, he's putting people quite literally in jail, ridding them of their authority, ridding them of their money-making jobs, and they're all friends. So, yeah, they're all going to work together to try their hardest to take Trump down. Even Ricky Gervais said it at the Golden Globes. Even people that are not in the documents, they flew to the island on their private planes.
Could binge watch the entire first season of Afterlife instead of watching this show. That's a show about a man who wants to kill himself because his wife dies of cancer. And it's still more fun than this, okay? Spoiler alert, season 2 is on the way, so in the end, he obviously didn't kill himself. Just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up! I know he's your friend, but I don't care. You had to make your own way here in your own plane, didn't you? Right. You had to make your own way here in your own plane, didn't you? Right. You had to make your own way here in your own plane, didn't you? Right.
I know that I missed a lot of names in this video. There's many, many more. There's a lot of people that are currently being looked into that have not even been publicly exposed yet like this. Many more to come. Obviously, this is just a few names within the first few years of Trump's presidency. Just imagine what can happen in the next 4. And don't forget, they previously, under other presidents, were able to get away with this stuff. And so they're shocked. All the elitists are shocked to hear that, wow, somebody is actually taking this seriously. People actually care about this stuff. So glad that Trump takes this stuff seriously. Don't forget that he's been signing a lot of legislature too. Some people say he's not really doing anything to help this. Oh, really? In the next clip, we are going to hear that Trump has signed over 9 pieces of legislature towards ending human trafficking, including one that he passed just this week, giving $35 million to victims of human trafficking. Take a look.
Since he's been in office, the president has signed 9 pieces of legislation addressing this issue into law. Today, we recognize another landmark moment in our fight against modern slavery with the announcement of the Department of Justice's Housing Assistance Grants for victims of human trafficking. DOJ has awarded over $35 million in grants to 73 incredible organizations in 34 states across the United States. These grants will provide safe, stable housing and counseling services to victims and survivors of trafficking. We're excited to have survivors, these incredible warriors, with us at the table alongside organizations that are supporting victims. Know that your voice is heard. You are forgotten no more.